Welcome to another exciting episode of TNT Outdoor Explosion. This week we're going to be doing something just a little bit different. We're going to be out on the water hunting alligator gar here in East Texas. So stay tuned for this exciting episode.
Mojo Outdoors. It ain't magic if it ain't mojo. Bossy Oak. It's not just a passion, it's an obsession. Knox flashlights. Get lit. Blaze trails. Farm country. 33 years and experience matters. Cinnamon Creek Ranch. Ultimate in archery.
We left the boat ramp and we headed up the river to a couple of spots that usually produce some real good fish. Now on this first trip, I carried out a couple of friends of mine. We was going to do some video and we was actually scouting for the next day, which I had Mike Owens, which is a pro staff for TNT. Now when we got down to the river, we'd actually had a pretty good rain in Dallas, and the river was flooded. It was just out of the banks. It wasn't just overwhelming flooded, but it was out of these banks. It was in the fields and in the woods and whatnot. So I mean, anytime it's flooded like that, we have a real good chance of putting in big gar in the boat. So we was all pretty excited. During the course of the day, I mean, we were seeing lots of fish. I mean, and we were seeing quite a few alligator gar, but they were all male fish. They were smaller fish. I told the guys, you know, let's hold off these fish. You don't need to be shooting these. Let's wait and try to get a couple of good ones in the boat. I knew we would. It's just a matter of time of getting on them. Towards the end of the day, we had a couple of hours before it got dark. And we've been seeing all these, you know, we've been seeing a lot of long nose. We shot a lot of long nose. Been seeing a lot of 50 to 80 pound alligator gar. And one of the guys, Dustin, had never shot an alligator gar before in his life, had never even been bow fishing before. And I thought, you know, that would be pretty cool for him, you know, to shoot a fish of that size, which, you know, it's not a huge fish, but to him, you know, that would make his day. So I told him to put his camera down. I had my brother Jared filming, and I told him, let's get up here and let's get you one of these fish. You know, Dustin, he, you know, like I said, he'd never bow fished before, hadn't never done a whole lot of hunting, so, you know, once he got it down, he did finally stick him a gar, and man, he was excited. So after Dustin had got his fish in, it was kind of late that evening. We actually had some other friends that had another boat, and they were down there, and we really hadn't seen each other all day, so we got on the phone, was calling, talking to them to see how their day had been, and they really hadn't had any luck at all. So we told them, you know, kind of where we was at. We was waiting on them, listening for their boat motor going up and down the river, and my brother kept hearing splashes, you know, further down in the cove here. We just kept watching and listening, and finally we seen a big tail come up. I mean, it's a big tail. There was no doubt this was a big alligator gar. And I told him, I said, man, we got to get down there. It's going to get dark. We got to get footage of this. I think these alligator gar are spawning down here. So we started trolling in. Sure enough, there was about 3 big females in there with, I don't know how many male fish, but they were actually spawning. And this was the first time I'd ever seen alligator gar spawning. I've talked to hundreds of other bow fishermen. Nobody's ever seen this. A couple of guys have seen this, take that back. But it is a real rare occasion. And to me, it was just, it was a bow hunter's paradise. So we trolled in there. I mean, you could see male fish swimming around everywhere, but I told Dean, the guy that was fishing with me, I said, hey, don't shoot any fish unless I tell you to. We want to get the big female out of here, because there's just no telling how big this fish could be. This is what's going to have to happen here. Shoot, look for the big fish. Don't shoot the males. Look for the big fish.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
And about that time, here come a bunch, we could see the male fish coming across there, and I looked in front and I said, Dean, right there he is, or right there she is, we need to get her. So we both shot. Give me that real quick. Dean was able to get another arrow in.
That was her I was looking at. That's right here by the boat.
gonna take out Jared.
Once he got his other air in, I knew I needed to get in there, calm her down. Yeah, he's still green!
I picked a smaller one up with my foot. It was a little bitty, like a male. It come out and just swam off. And I took another stud and I was moving my foot forward, picking it up. And that big one, I felt it and I couldn't get my foot over it. I said, ah, that's the big one. And I seen it kind of come up and seen its tail and it didn't really spook.
And as you've seen, that don't happen every day. I mean, you just don't catch alligator gar spawning like that.
This segment is brought to you by Ghost Powder. Bring out the ghost.
This week's TNT Tech Tip is brought to you by Dead Downwind. Real science, real results. It's not just luck.
This is a little bit overkill for what we're doing today, but the whole idea is for soil compaction is to loosen it up. And it's no matter whether you're a cattle rancher or if you're a crop farmer or if you're farming for wildlife, you have to break the soil up every so many years because the soil compacts. And if you don't do that, you end up with a seed bed that's about this deep, and that's also the length of the root base. So anything you can do to bring the dirt up and loosen it up 10, 12, 14, 18 inches deep will make you a better food plot, it'll make you a better crop, and it'll make you a better hay process. This is an answer. You can do this with a lot less, but today this is what we're doing, and we're getting prepared for fall so that we can plant wheat and ryegrass and have a crop, and the water can go in the ground instead of running in the road ditch, and we can make grass, we can make cattle grow, but it'll do the same thing with your wildlife, and it'll work for everybody if you'll just loosen the ground. And this is the TNT Tech Tip of the Week, brought to you by Farm Country, Case IH in Kubota.
Now we're here the next day. We've got Mike Owens and his son Mikey that won the trip at the Cast a Dream auction back 2 or 3 years ago. So it's pretty obvious where we was going to go. We was going to head right back up there to where these fish were spawning and hopefully get Mike and his son on some good fish. Once we got up there, you know, we went straight into the back of that cove, and as luck would have it, there was no fish there at all. I mean, there was a few small male fish back out of the cove. So I told Mike, you know, we're going to have to hunt a little bit harder than we did the day before when we found them spawning. But, you know, I told him, you know, just give us a little time. You know, a big fish, we'll come by and we'll get you one. I spotted a big female alligator gar. I told him to get ready. Woo. And the fight was on.
I'm trying. We gotta pull him up.
I felt real confident we would get them a big fish in the boat.
There it is.
I'm gonna carry us in shallow water.
Okay.
Little Mike can load them up.
All right. Good.
Now when we pulled up, I was thinking the water probably wouldn't, maybe knee deep, and so I stepped out of the boat and it actually come up over my waist. Little did I realize we was in a wheat field.
It's done. Woohoo! Done deal. All right, we're here with blue collar bow hunters on the Trinity River. We had a huge rain earlier this week, and it's flooded all the basin area. And these monster gar, alligator gar, are coming up in here. They're spawning. And my son and I have been here. I don't know, we got here early this morning. Left about 5 o'clock this morning. Been out here on the water since about 9:30, 10. And we've shot a lot of needle nose gar, a lot of carp. Been having a lot of fun, but hadn't had a chance to find the big one. And just now, Mikey just nailed a huge gar. She was deep and going away from us, and he just a perfect shot. And thanks to Jeremy, Blue Collar Bow Hunters, helping us out. He got in the freezing cold water to help us get the fish over in here, and this was a dream come true for us today. We sure appreciate it, Jeremy.
Glad y'all are out here. Good job, guys.
All right, man.
Good shot. Man, that was another great fishing trip, especially since Mike has bought this trip or won this trip in an auction at the Cash to Dream benefit auction a couple of years ago, and we're just now getting on it, so you know the wait paid off.
This segment is brought to you by Farm Country. 33 years and experience matters.
Now this next trip, me and my brother head out late July, headed to Toledo Bend, tried to get us a big gar in the boat. Oh yeah, I've got one flopped out there, about a pound. We'll be looking for long nose gar and alligator gar. Alright, we got some gator gar on. I don't know how big he is. We'll fit him on that line. You can see the top of his back. That's a Texas-sized gar for you, boys. You can't beat that noise right there. We can get him back up here. I shot him close to the tail. He's pretty tired already, I think. Let's get a good shot of him here. It's a good fish. It's hard to do this by yourself. Alright, what we're trying to do here is, it looks like my air is about to pull out. So, to keep our footage going, I'm going to try to pull him up, drop this bow, grab this other bow, and get him another air in. If not, I'm afraid we're going to lose this fish. Alright, now we got two arrows in him. Got it. Look like he splattered the lens. Well, if you just joined us, we're out here in East Texas, far East Texas. I mean, Louisiana's just right there. And we went to the river this morning. Didn't do no good. I mean, you could tell the water, just the color of the water, there wasn't going to be no fish. So me and my brother loaded up. We come out here to the lake. we put in. We went out to my summertime holes. There's a few fish coming up, but nothing very big. And I told him, you know, I've always thought about this place we're at here as having alligator gar, but I've never seen them here. And like I said, it didn't take us 10-15 minutes to find this one fish that morning, shoot it, get it in. You know, it took a while to get it in, but we fished the rest of the day and never seen another alligator gar. Hey, if you want to book a trip with me to shoot a big alligator gar, look at the number on the bottom of the screen, give me a call. I guarantee you I'll hook you up with one of these big boys. Now, that was 3 exciting bow fishing trips here in East Texas for alligator gar. Hey, if you want to book a trip, look me up. The number's at the bottom of the screen. Till next week, check out our website or even follow us on Facebook to see what we're doing here on TNT Outdoor Explosion. We'll see you next week.
Closed captioning was brought to you by ESP, Electronic Shooters Protection. TNT Outdoor Explosion is also brought to you by Coppersmith Global Logistics, Ghost Powder, Bayer Motor Company, Texas Hunting Land, Head Hanger,
Right!